Welcome to another episode of Iokua Hates Everything. This time around, I'll be covering Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions for the PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, and Wii. Now, the first thing you need to know about this game is you play as 4 different Spider-Men. Amazing Spider-Man, who is our classic hero. Ultimate Spider-Man, who is kind of like the Spider-Man for a new generation. Spider-Man 2099 from the ill-fated and horrifically bad 2099 series from, well, the 90s, and Spider-Man Noir, who is a shitty Spider-Man from the 1940s, who's boring and stupid and lame. But he's voiced by Christopher Daniel Barnes, who is the classic actor from the 90s cartoon. So wherever he's been for the past 15, 16 years, welcome back, jackass. I hope you play Spider-Man in another game and another cartoon series, and no one else voices him until you're too decrepit and old or die. Now, the big change is this is now a level-based game instead of free-roaming as it was, well, as it has been since Spider-Man 2. Which is a shame because that pretty much makes it a crappy beat-em-up. Like, that's it. There's very little variety to the gameplay. You're just jumping and swinging around and beating on enemies unless you're in Spider-Man Noir, where you're sneaking around and beating up enemies. Throughout the game, you will have to do challenges and so on and so forth, and there's 180 of them. There's quite a few. Now, these challenges, which is what the Web of Destiny you're looking at right now, it's basically your big giant list of challenges. As you can see, I've completed 126 out of the 180. Now, by completing these challenges, like break X amount of barrels on enemies, or throw this many explosives at enemies, or use your charge attack on X amount of enemies, and so on and so forth, by doing these challenges, you get experience points, and those experience points, or should I say, spider essence points, they let you unlock new skills, new abilities, upgrade your health, extend your rage and accelerated vision modes, unlock costumes. Now, it's a little sad to say, but the costumes are among the best parts of the game. Now, I mean, because look at this. You're playing as the bombastic bagman, that Spider-Man in a Fantastic Four outfit with a paper bag on his head. How is that not awesome? Electro-proof Spider-Man. I mean, it looks kind of neat, doesn't it? Sort of. Again, the combat, I can't help but think the people who designed the combat and the game in general have never played a Spider-Man game, never read a Spider-Man comic or novel, never watched a Spider-Man cartoon, or watched a Spider-Man movie. I mean, Spider-Man does not do what we just saw. He just doesn't. I mean, it's just... There's no real agility going on in the combat, which is kind of what Spider-Man is known for. Yeah, you're jumping and leaping around, but Spider-Man bounces off of walls, and he's all over the place. I mean, that's what makes him who he is. He's not a clumsily controlled oaf with targeting issues who just pummels things. He bounces around, he hops, he makes fun of people, he makes sarcastic comments which drives villains crazy. And he does them in this, but he says the same thing about 18 times a fight. While I was recording this, he basically said, "Oh, stop hitting yourself with my fist," about 4 times. It's brutal. It really, really is. Which is a shame, because properly done, I mean, the sarcastic comments from a Spider-Man could be great. I mean, you get Barnes voicing Spider-Man Noir, and he's the least funny of the bunch because he's the serious one. And Barnes was always good at the sarcastic comments. It's just... The only funny one of the entire group, really, is Ultimate Spider-Man, because he's put in the wackiest situations. And that's really the only reason why. I mean, the rest of the game... Spider-Man never takes himself too seriously, but this game takes itself a little bit too seriously. It's just, from a gameplay perspective, you've got 3 identical dimensions plus Noir. And this is Noir in a nutshell. You sneak up on people, And this is the bullshit going on. He has superhuman strength, agility, and speed. He should be able to fight anyone and anything. But if a regular grunt enemy with a gun who you can web in 2 seconds and be done with sees you, you can't do anything. You have to go back and hide in one little shadow 2 feet away before you can start trying to web him again, because he's got a gun and he can defend himself against anything. Each dimension has a gimmick, and the gimmick of 2099 are these stupid gliding segments. They're just so poorly designed. And one of the neater things, actually, is you can kind of put the game in bullet time for 2099 Spider-Man and rage mode for Ultimate Spider-Man, which is just basically a way of trying to, you know, make the combat not identical to, well, every other dimension. I mean, it fails because really it's just 30 or 40 seconds of pound, pound, kill, pound, kill, pound, pound, kill. But it does add a little bit of variety, I guess. Now, the biggest issue I had with the game is the lack of respect to the source material. I mean, as I said earlier, I have a feeling that no one is, like, the people who made this game, no one in it reads comics. I mean, this is a clear example. The Juggernaut. Shitty villain choice. Spider-Man has encountered him twice in 40 years. Twice! I mean, the X-Men see him, like, way more times in half a year than Spidey has in 40. And to make this kind of stuff worse, look at Silver Sable. Her lips aren't moving when she speaks. Like, whoa. Why? Was this designed by little children who thought that you gotta keep the comic aesthetic all the time? I mean, sure, their lips move during in-game cutscenes, but in the opening level cutscenes, nah, they can't speak. That'd be a crime. Can't happen. I mean, when it comes to the voice acting, only a handful of characters are voiced well. Hammerhead is voiced by John DiMaggio, Ultimate Spider-Man by Josh Keaton from the Spectacular Spider-Man series. Basically, all the Spider-Men are done by classic actors, although I don't know why they picked Neil Patrick Harris for Amazing Spider-Man. His series sucked. Anyways, done with that rant now. Deadpool, Deadpool, Deadpool. I know he's the casual comic fan's favorite character, but the Deadpool in this is voiced by Nolan North, which is a terrible, terrible choice, and is Ultimate Spider-Man's Deadpool. And Ultimate Deadpool is a racist, hateful asshole. I mean, he's nothing like 616 Deadpool. He's as far away from being... He's more like Wolverine, like a bad Wolverine you should hate and just never want to see again. Because he's a hateful, racist monster. And they made him crazy. It's just no. It's like this is like the big example of a lack of respect for the source material. This is not Ultimate Deadpool. This is 616 Deadpool just stuck into another dimension because they wanted to have Juggernaut. They should have used 616 Deadpool. As simple as that. Finally, Stan Lee voices the narration, which is great. He's Stan Lee Excelsior. And David Kaye voices Mysterio, the main villain of the game, who is the worst main villain you can possibly have. Mysterio was not this kind of villain. Anywho, he's voiced by David Kaye, who was Megatron in Beast Wars, and he uses his Megatron voice for Mysterio. It just doesn't work. I kept expecting him to talk to a little dinosaur hand and be like, yes, and so on and so forth. It's just, no. So, I guess, aside from the classic Spidey actors, there's not really anything good in this game. The gameplay is mostly identical across all dimensions. The villains make no sense half the time. Deadpool? No. Not like that. I mean, did they even read a comic? That... ugh.
Is that a cartoon pig?